So that's the crazy thing about Genshin Impact, right? Like, there's so much about that game that I despise. Like, a lot of its waifu culture, a lot of its just crazy, insane monetary practices. But the world of that game, man, like, the world of that game is like, you go out into the world, you see a big old thing in the distance, you go, oh my god, I want to go there, and then you do, and there's something crazy there, there's a puzzle there, there's a boss there, there's enemies there, there's so much crazy stuff, and you're like, whoa, this is awesome, I went there and I was rewarded for it. And then once you get there, then you look off into the distance again, you're like, oh my god, there's another thing that I want to go to, and you go there, and it's just as insane. It's so satisfying just to explore that world, man. It's so cool. It's honestly awesome. There's a lot to hate about that game, but the world design is so good in it.
But Zakk, you talking about Genshin Impact and the marvelous world of it made me think about something. You want to hear about Tears of the Kingdom?
I haven't even played Tears of the Kingdom yet. I've heard that the game is good, but I actually haven't heard a lot about it. Go nuts, brother.
Okay, so first off, to you at home, I'm breaking the fourth wall. There are going to be spoilers here. So,
if you care about that, leave.
So, Tears of the Kingdom, the Master Sword gets obliterated, just gone. It's gone.
What?
Yeah, ZELDA, right? ZELDA, Link's honey bun. Okay. Yeah. They go down in the catacombs, right? They're going. They find this hieroglyphics. They find a mummy, okay? A mummy on an altar being pressed down by a preserved hand, a disembodied preserved hand, and this cool mystical
wall master kind of thing.
Yeah, like a
re-dead being pushed down by a wall master.
Kinda.
Whoa.
Or the Thing from the Addams Family?
Yeah.
Like that, but with an arm attached to it.
Huh.
And then this cool wispy magic smoke is coming out of the arm, right? So Zelda's like, ooh, what's this? And then the mummy wakes up and he's like, ugh. And then Link's like, oh no, bro. And he readies his Master Sword. The mummy shatters the Master Sword, but then a little sliver pops off the Master Sword and it cuts his face. And he's like, oh, the sword that seals the darkness.
That's the sword of evil's bane right there.
Yeah, baby. And he's like, such a weak sword cannot do anything to me. Get on, boy. And then he takes Link to Slam Jam Town.
Master Sword?
Yes, the Master Sword. He shatters it.
Prequel, right?
This is the sequel.
This is a sequel.
A sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Crazy.
So Zelda gets spirited away in time like Samurai Jack. I forgot how, but it happens. And then Link is just BTFO'd. And he's like, oh! And then he wakes up in this strange catacomb after some months, right?
Yeah.
His hair has grown out. He's like, oh, what happened? He looks at his, I think his right hand. He's like, oh my god, I'm part mummy.
He defiled the Triforce?
No, the hand that was holding down the mummy has now possessed his arm.
Oh my god.
Then a stand from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, who is also a furry, comes out of the arm and starts talking to him.
Holy mother of God. Okay, go nuts.
He says, I am Rauru, the first king of Hyrule. Link is like,
whoa!
And Link is like, huh? And then he's like, yes, Link, I stopped you from dying.
Link isn't like, I'm going, That's awesome.
You must find the Master Sword and defeat Ganondorf, who was the mummy. Ganondorf was the mummy. Oh, it's so...
that was my first thought, but I was also going, wait, didn't we just beat Ganon?
That was the S... Oh, we'll get into that.
That was Ganondorf's stand?
That was Ganondorf's stand, and we'll get into that. That the stand talk does not stop. We'll get into that soon enough. Again. So then Caveman Hero of the Wilds Link is like, ha, and then you get at this mission. You're in the sky now. You're in Skypiea from One Piece. You wake up in Skypiea.
Incredible.
You're in Skypiea now. And you're like, and then you wander out of the cave like you've just eaten 12 White Castle hamburgers and drinking like...
You got the itis, brother.
You got the itis. You're stumbling about. You're like, oh, what? And then you find out you can do weird stuff with your weird stand hand. You have telekinesis now.
Yeah.
You can now lift things with your zombie mummy hand. And
You're no longer tied to your smartphone.
No.
Basically.
No more Fisher Price iPad. No. You have this weird stand hand. You can lift things and then fuse things to other things.
Oh, that's sick.
So, like, you have a rock, right? You can fuse 2 rocks together, or fuse like
a big rock. Whoa.
Exactly, or make a bridge.
Yeah.
And then you find out there are robots now. Robots that were built by ancient furry people, and then they think you're a threat, so you gotta beat them up. So you go wham, bam, pow, and then they drop these batteries and these horns, right? Because they look like little Trojan helmet guys. So you pick up the batteries, you pick up the horns, then this nice, like, weird, the robot from the Jetsons, whatever her name was. Remember her?
Who?
You know the robot from the Jetsons, the maid?
Oh, I should know this. Oh, no, I'm drawing a blank.
Well, you remember how she looks, right?
Yeah.
You get, like, those guys, but they're, like, steward robots, and they're like, beep, bop, boop. Oh, Princess Zelda left a gift for you. You get your Fisher Price iPad back.
Yeah.
But it's just your map now, and your quest log. Then, if I remember correctly, you keep going through trials. You then get the ability to fuse things together to make weapons.
Cool.
So you can pick up a stick.
So there's an actual crafting system so that you can have more weapons.
Exactly. You can fuse things together in the world to make, like, obstacles and stuff, and you can also fuse things together to make weapons.
Very cool.
And then you get the ability to stop time.
ZELDA, okay.
ZELDA, you can reverse mechanisms or the physics
You can reverse everything?
Yes, you can reverse everything.
This is some viewable Joe nonsense.
You can select a target and reverse its trajectory.
Incredible.
And then you get the ability to auto build later down the line. So anything you have built before, you can build again out of nothing.
Incredible.
Well, not out of nothing. There are these weird, like, ores called zonai. They look like weird blue frosting cakes.
Okay.
Yeah, you get their ore. You find them in ore deposits that are around the world. And then you can use that to just make things out of thin air. Also, Link can make mechs. He can make
I've seen some of the stuff that people are doing with that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, because, like, the land is littered because of the upheaval, which I forgot what that was, but furry robot stuff has fallen from the sky, basically.
Fun.
And there are all these mechanisms. There are fans, there are, like, skateboards, there are tracking heads, there are lasers that shoot lasers and lightning and fire and ice. And you can fuse all that together. And anything you have made, you can fuse, you can bring up in your auto build and make out of these sponge cakes. And you can also fuse these to your shield or your weapon. So if you find a rocket, you can fuse the rocket to your shield and make a rocket shield. And then you can rocket board in the air if you're high enough.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's the best. It's the best game I have played in a long time. It beats the stuffing out of Breath of the Wild. It's crazy. It makes Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo, which is wild. So, okay, you get off of Skypiea, you swan dive into the lake, like from, like, 10 kilometers in the air, you can swan dive into a lake, and there's no break in between. And then you're in the world, you're like wobbling around. You gotta find Princess Zelda, right? You gotta find her because the mean mummy did something to her, but you don't know that she actually traveled back in time. So on her journey through time, she has met the king of Hyrule, the furry, because she's back in time, and his hot alien wife who looks like Zelda, but she's like brown skinned and covered in these cool tattoos. Very mommy, very good. She's hot.
Zelda, except brown and tattooed.
Yes.
You have my attention.
I forget her name, but then you get flat. Then you find these, like, big tattoos on the ground in the world, and those contain Tears of the Kingdom.
We have we have a title drop, very cool, and B, we have Reverse Tetra, and oh god,
it's good. Oh,
I'm not ready.
It's so good, brother. It's so good. It gets even better. So, let's talk about the cool stuff first. Okay, so you go around and you find these huge glyphs in the ground, right? It's like the land has a hit tattoo. In the middle, you find these petals. These petals contain tears. And then you look at the tear and you get a cool cutscene of what's Zelda doing in time, right? There's this one scene where she's sitting with Rauru and his hot wife. And guess who comes into the castle to greet them?
It's either Impa or Ganon.
It's Big Papa Ganon. He's looking the best that he's ever been. Get out of here, Ocarina of Time. Get out of here, Wind Waker. You got Big Arabian King Ganon. He doesn't wear a shirt. He wears one sleeve. He's walking in with his entourage of hot Amazonian women. And he's like, oh, Prince Rauru, pleasure to meet your acquaintance.
This man just came in with the biggest dick energy imaginable.
It's insane. Just strutting in.
Literally like he owns the place, which he will by the end of the day.
Exactly. Dr. Lively energy. It's amazing. It's like, oh, King Rauru, my apologies for being so rude. You have my allegiance, but not really. And all this is voice acted. Voice acting in my Nintendo game. Wow. But yes.
Disgusting, really, honestly.
But yeah, you get a lot of cutscenes like that, and then Ganon eventually, this is a spoiler, Ganon murks Rauru's wife.
About right, yeah.
Murks her, takes her weird stone thingy, because you find that all the important people have weird stone thingies. Then he turns into Demise from Skyward Sword.
Okay.
And he's like, no, I truly am the Demon King.
Now I am big monster.
Very based. But back in the real time, you can take out a cooking pot and cook, just like in Breath of the Wild. But now it's an alien furry cooking pot, because you find these big gacha machines all around the world. And these gacha machines, if you drop those horns I talked to you about that the robots have, if you drop them in this little like well slot, you can get these little gacha capsules, and they contain all these devices for making stuff.
So you can cook machinery now.
No, you can use machinery to cook.
Oh, so you can just cook anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere.
That's crazy.
And then the cooking pot can also be fused to things to make robot legs.
Awesome.
Because they work like ball and socket joints.
God, that's cool.
You can make a car, you can make a cool air bike and go anywhere. And for the viewing public at home, pro tip, put a rocket on the back of your hover bike to get some altitude.
Oh.
Then you go to your main town, right?
Love it.
It's great. It's great. Then you go into your main town, right? Because the Castle of Hyrule, it's donezo. It's decrepit, because the mummy Ganon has released upon the world something called gloom, which is bad, stinky poo-poo gas that makes you feel not so yummy in your tummy.
Quick question.
Yes.
So do they at least do that thing where, remember in Ocarina of Time where you get to experience Castletown, you get to experience like the most lively city that you've ever experienced in your entire life, only to see how Ganon has completely destroyed it? Do you get that moment where you actually get to walk through the streets of Castletown while everything's still good?
No.
Lame.
But you do build up an encampment slowly, and it's very lively.
That's good.
Then you find Pura. Pura has turned into a hot mommy.
As if she wasn't already, but go on.
Yes, she has perfected her de-aging process, and now she is taller than Link and is wearing the most provocative outfit I have seen in a minute in a Nintendo game. She's very good.
Really do hit differently.
Yeah, it's something, but Pura's good. Pura's very good. And then she's like, "Yeah, check it." She just still does that, and she's like, "Yeah, things are real bad, Link. We thought you were dead and stuff." But yeah, this is our hideout base now. Go do stuff, be cool. And you're like, huh? And then
this is your Metal Gear Solid 5 mother base now.
Basically. She said, yeah, go to all the different continents and find the peoples and help them out so they can help us beat Ganon. And then you nod. And then she's like, you've been working out. And you're like, huh? And then you run away.
I wouldn't run away.
You find out that she has some sort of daughter protege person who's like, hey, Mr. Swordsman, and hey, Mr. Swordsman, have you heard of hell? You should go down into hell because Robbie's down there and he got some cool stuff to show you. So you should go down there. It's outside of town and there's a big doom pit like 5 kilometers out and you should go down there. And you're like, huh? And then Pearl's like, oh, wait, you forgot your paraglider. So now you can glide, just like in Breath of the Wild. We may get it before. It doesn't matter. This is a cool story. Anyway, so you are in the little laboratory that they have, and then you see this ominous face sitting in the corner. You're like, what is this? And then it mumbles, give me the pose. You're like, I don't know what that's about. Bye. So then you dive into this this gaping hole in the ground covered in gunk energy, and it's pitch black down there.
Yeah,
it's black. It's blacker than black, darker than dark. For my Undertale guys out there, yeah, I did the funny meme. Please watch this, please. Anyway, so you go down there.
Share this with all of your friends.
All of your Undertales and Deltarunes. So you go down there, right? You find the funny little old man Robbie. He's like, hey there, young whippersnapper. You want a camera? And you're like, yeah, bruh.
I guess. Yes.
You take the camera and he's like, look over yonder. Touch that big bulbous thing to light up the area. So you wander over and it's this giant light root that acts as a big flashlight that lights up the underground, which is a terrible, terrible place. You know what's in the underground, Zakk? Bad
things.
Demons. Demons all around. Every enemy you face in the overworld has been infected by this gloom stuff, and if they hit you, you lose a heart.
Oh.
Let me rephrase that. You lose a heart, meaning you can't eat food to get that heart back. It's gone.
Oh, you permanently lose a heart.
You have to either go back up or find one of these light roots and stand under the light to regain that heart back. And it just regains empty.
Yeah, that's a little bit crazy.
So me being adventurous, I had done things in reverse because I don't like rules. I like to explore. This is an exploration game. So
a man after my own soul. Go nuts.
So I dived head first into the hell pit. And then I found a frog. The frog the size of a mountain.
What?
It's called a frox. In the underground, there are 50 of these things of varying intensity. I ended up finding the second strongest one.
So you've kind of pushed yourself towards the end of the game. Way before you were supposed to be there.
A little bit. Unfortunately, I had done some exploration, so I was like mid-range. I beat the stuffing out of him. Out of this giant cyclops frog. Because you know what he does? He breathes in and he sucks you in and chews you up. The strategy... He sucks you up, right? So, and then he spits it back out. So the strategy is you have to hit all these ore deposits on his back in order to kill him. How you stun him is by shooting him in the eye. Because if you jump in the air and prepare your bow, you can enter something called bullet time, slow down time, and prepare a shot. Fun thing, too, now, you know all that useless stuff in Breath of the Wild, like Keith's eyes and whatnot?
Yeah.
You can fuse Keith's eyes to your arrows. They then become homing arrows that zone in on the enemy's weak point.
They're automatic weak point.
Yes.
So you could just fire an arrow and it immediately ends the boss?
No, he takes a lot of hits, but it stuns him.
Interesting.
It stuns him. So you stun him, you jump on his back, you break an ore deposit. Then he turns into a trampoline and springboards you into the sky. Then he opens up his mouth because he wants to eat you. The cool strategy you can do now is you can prepare a bomb because
can you fire a bomb into his mouth as he opens up to eat you?
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
Because the Shikai bombs are gone. Now they're just bomb flowers.
Oh, I guess that's fine.
But there are also Zonai device bombs that you can find, which are like the Sheikah bombs. You just can't spawn them out of the blue.
Okay.
So there are two types of bombs. The bomb flowers are mostly the most prominent one because they literally grow out the ground. They're very prominent in the underground. They're just everywhere.
I guess it makes sense for Zelda to not want to have bombs be an infinite resource because that was a little bit busted in Breath of the Wild.
Well, if you know where to look, they are infinite resource. Wink.
I mean, yeah, but it still requires time and effort and energy and exploration to get them.
No, it doesn't. Wink.
Oh.
Hee hee hee. Hee hee hee. All the glitches are great in this game, baby. They're great. But yeah, you fire bombs into its mouth. It blows up, and it's like, oh, my tummy hurts. And you can continuously beat on it. The cool thing about this is that after you do some missions, you can track how many there are left in the overworld. They respawn because there's a blood moon.
Yeah.
And the blood moon acts as a respawn point for many things.
Wait,
like,
there's a blood moon underground?
Yeah, it affects everything.
So you have to get them all in a single, I guess, month or a single day?
Oh, no, like it tracks if you defeated one.
Oh, okay.
So once it's defeated, it's kind of defeated for good. Because there'll be a little star next to it saying you beat this particular one already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are 50 of them, and you have your regular frogs, which are like the basic ones. Then you have your obelisk frogs, which are like the mid-range boys, which is the first one I fought. Then you have your white-blue frogs, which are like frogs.
The really scary ones.
The scary one was mammoth tusks growing out of his face.
Oh.
He's a mean boy. The funny part about this is that once you defeat anything, any monster, they drop parts. And all these parts can be fused to anything.
Yeah.
Anything. So they can fuse to your weapon. They give you different weapon properties. You can fuse them to your arrows. They give the arrows different properties. You can fuse them to shields, etc., etc., etc. It's nearly endless. It's amazing. So let's see. Lionels are back.
Very cool. I always loved fighting them.
My first Lionel was in the underground.
Oh.
And it was affected by gloom. Also, frogs are the only enemies not affected by gloom in the underground.
Oh, you have to fight Lionels while also taking permanent damage?
Yes, and all the Lionels in the underground, they are knights. They wear armor.
Oh.
So you have to get the armor off.
How are you supposed to do that?
There are different weapon combinations that do that, so you can attach these giant steel spike balls that you find that are used for like traps by bokoblins, because bokoblins have upgraded and can now send down Indiana Jones like ball traps to try to kill you.
Based?
You can, as it's rolling towards you, you can ready fuse, which is the weapon thing, and fuse this dangerous ball to your weapon, and now you have a mace.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
So you can do that. Rocks work for breaking armor. You can just find a random rock on the ground and fuse it to your weapon, and then now it becomes a hammer. Weapon durability is back, but the cool thing about it is that fusing does refresh some weapons, so that's good, at least once.
At the very least, with a crafting system, that weapon durability is not going to be as terrible, because you can just make another weapon that is just as good on the fly.
When ZELDA, quote unquote, gives you your Master Sword back, you can then just respawn your Master Sword at will. You don't have to go back to like the forest to get it. Like, it breaks in your hand, then it like turns into light and then goes back to you, and then it just regenerates over time on your person. So
you can get the Master Sword back eventually by earning it over time.
Yeah, you find it, you find ZELDA, she gives it to you, and then you can use it as a weapon in your inventory permanently. When it does break, it's still in your inventory. It just needs a time to sleep.
So, yeah, it's exactly like the Master Sword back in Breath of the Wild. I
thought you had to return to the podium.
It's possible. I never actually got the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay. Because I can't remember.
I thought it was a time-based thing.
I cannot recall.
But that's conjecture based off what I've heard, not based off of what I've actually played. So.
Okay, fine, because I can't remember. It's been years since I played Breath of the Wild.
It's been so long.
Also, you can fuse anything to the Master Sword, but then when you fuse things to the Master Sword, they turn into a phantom attachment.
So it's like a temporary boost rather than a permanent one.
Like, it's a permanent boost, but it just has a cool phantom ghost effect.
Cool.
But yeah, so you can do all that to break armor, or you can just load them up with bombs. Just keep firing bombs at them to break their armor. Just light them up.
Good, yeah.
Just light them up. Just pow, 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 pow. Also, Lionels have their different levels back. I was at a point in the game where I fought the toughest one first. So there's that.
Yeah, that's about right.
Oh, that fight took so long. Also, there's if you watch a YouTuber by the name of Austin John Plays, I'll just parrot what he said. There is a hidden level up system
in Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
Or I guess Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes. It might have been Breath of the Wild too, I'm not sure. But you level up based on the number of enemies you defeat of a particular type and how you defeat them. So like after 10 enemies, that stops the cap. And then if you defeat them in very savvy ways by like shooting them in the head or parrying their attacks, you get that. You get that point.
Huh.
There are no murder robots in this game. No big ones.
Bad game. Wouldn't play it.
However, you know what they have?
Yeah.
How familiar are you with Godzilla?
Relatively.
Does the name King Ghidorah ring a bell?
Of course, Ghidorah rings a bell.
You fight King Ghidorah.
In the overworld.
There are many of them.
Many three-headed lightning dragons.
There's a lightning dragon, there's an ice dragon, there's a fire dragon. They're everywhere.
Huh.
And they're bosses. They're proper bosses.
They better be.
They fly up and then they say, you know what? You've hurt me so poorly. I'm going to just rain down an apocalypse upon you. And each one has their own apocalypse. So the thunder dragons will actually cause a giant thunderstorm and smite you with lightning.
Very cool.
The fire dragon...
Storms actually too. So do you have to have like multiple, I guess, potions to deal with the different environmental effects that they have?
That's the funny part, because you can do several things. There are foods and food ingredients you can make that makes you resistant to environmental effects.
Yeah.
Also, there are these cool helmets in the game that make you impervious to certain effects.
Yeah.
There's a cool mission. Do you remember the Yiga clan?
Yeah.
You can become a member of the Yiga clan.
I thought you destroyed them in the last game.
No, they're back.
Yeah, that's about right.
The fat guy is like, we can make robot items too, idiot. Oh, donuts are delicious. Om nom nom banana. That's what he says.
So they just let you back even though that you are the person who was solely responsible for destroying their entire order?
Oh, they all know you by name.
Of course they do.
They're like, watch out for Link. Defeat this swordsman. And then you're like, I want to find your base, homie. So before you do that, you go around the world and you find these seamstresses and these mushroom hats that are being held hostage by the Yiga clan.
So you have to make a disguise, apparently.
Yes, right? And you find the clothing parts of the Yiga clan outfit. And then you are a Yiga clan member and you find their hideout. And
very cool.
And then you go in and you're like, haha, I'm Yiga clan. And they're like, that's checks out. Why are you blonde? Yiga clan. Huh? And they're like, that sounds right. Okay, come on in.
Yeah,
you can buy schematics for one of their super vehicles that they made out of the robot parts. So that's cool.
Very cool.
You can take their initiation test and earn something called the lightning helm.
Oh.
That they stole from the Garuda that makes you impervious to lightning.
Yeah.
Completely impervious.
So one of the three Ghidorah heads are completely shut out from that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because they stole it. And then they teach you a very interesting move. Do you remember the earthquake technique?
A little bit. I didn't get a whole lot of use from that.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could do that?
Yeah.
You can do that now.
Huh.
So the bigger Yiga clan members would do an earthquake technique to try to blow you up.
Yeah.
You now, after taking the Yiga clan test, can do that yourself.
Well, that's cool.
So what you do is, when you don't have a weapon equipped, you can just charge up your fist with Naruto energy and slam it to the ground, and then use your stamina to make the earthquake move to your will.
That's actually pretty sick.
It's based. So there's that. Every Zelda game is in this game, by the way.
How do you mean?
Every clothing item from every Link.
Oh.
That I can think of. And most Zelda characters in general, you get Zant's helmet from
Twilight Princess.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sick.
You can find it in an arena in the Hell Cavern, and you fight, like, I think a bunch of bokoblins that are afflicted with the gloom.
Okay.
With the stinky poo-poo gas. And you fight them, you beat the arena, and then in this chest, there's Zant's helmet. Zant's helmet makes you unfreezable.
So that's another complete resistance that you have to the big bosses.
Yes. And it gets better. The big bosses get better. So I told you there are different dragons, right?
Yeah.
They're called Gleeoks. There is a Gleeok above all Gleeoks.
Okay.
His name is King Gleeok. He is in a solitary area in the sky, because there are sky islands too, because we're Skypiea now.
Yeah, of course.
There's a solitary island in which he's just chilling out. He can use fire, ice and lightning.
All at once.
All at once.
So you're going to have to change your equipment midway through the battle, apparently.
Yes. I beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
I beat him to death. Also, what's very funny, if you shoot them while they're trying to fly up with your Keese eye arrows, your bad eyes.
Yeah, the weakness arrows.
Right. If you shoot them in the face before they get high enough, they'll fall down and take fall damage.
Oh, nice.
It's so sick. Oh my god. Moldugas are back.
What?
The sand whales.
Oh!
Yeah, they're back. There are 4 of them.
Yeah, that's nutty.
There are 4 of them in total. They're the easiest one to get the enemy medals for, because as there's a point in the game where you can talk to a general and you're a Castletown camp, and he will give you a medal.
He'll give you rewards based off of how many enemies and how strong of enemies that you've killed.
Yeah, because he's the guy who tracks all the boss enemies. So if you killed all the Moldugas, which are 4, he'll give you a little Molduga medal. It doesn't do anything, but it's cool.
Rewarding you for, actually playing the game and beating it, I guess.
Exactly. And then he's like, "Oh, Link, you're so cool. Look at the Master Sword. I wish I could be as cool as you." And you're like, "Yeah, I know it." Then this is the weirdest Zelda game for me, because I think Smash and maybe the Mario movie has had an effect on all the Nintendo franchises as a whole for this generation, because Zelda was a franchise not really known for having long-standing characters. Like the only sequel game that we have is Ocarina of Time into Majora's Mask, and then there are some of the Toon Link games that kind of link up together. But
yeah, there's a bunch of the what do you call them? There's a bunch of the handheld games that kind of link up to each other, like Minish Cap, and a lot of those Link to the Past. A lot of those games kind of link up to each other in the timeline, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah. But here, everyone from Breath of the Wild is back, and the bird guy got busy and had a child.
Based?
Who is in the first game. I forgot him, but he's in the first game. The funny gorilla baby has grown up, and now she is a teenager, and she is taller than you, which is very funny.
Awesome.
The Goron guy, who was a child, has grown up and has become a pro wrestler.
It makes sense for him, yeah.
But apparently, Phantom Zelda has tricked him into being a pro wrestler. And he's like, "Oh, I'm such a heel. I'm such a heel. Oh, the mask.
I must be evil.
I must be evil." And then he gives like poison meat to all of his people. And they're like, "Oh, this poison meat has got the good stuff in it, bro." They're all zombies. And it just makes them all fat and lazy. So,
yikes.
So then you show your Goron buddy the ways of being a face. And then he's like, "Oh, let me rip off this mask," after you beat him a little bit. And he's like, "Oh, Link, I was a face the whole time. I'm sorry for being a heel."
Very based.
And it's like, let's join forces to help everyone not be evil, poo-poo, and lazy. And then also, there are temples in this game.
Yeah.
Which there kind of was in Breath of the Wild. There were those giant robots, but there are proper temples.
Okay.
And much like, speaking of temples, there are times in this game where you find a funny bunny rabbit with an owl face.
A bunny rabbit with an owl face.
And he glows blue. And if you shoot him, rupees pop out of him. But you have to chase him. And he takes you into this cavern.
Okay.
Each one of these caverns can be like a 10-minute dungeon onto themselves.
Pretty cool, yeah.
And there are many. They're everywhere. Absolutely.
So it's not quite as expansive as, say, Ocarina's temples, but they're a little bit more than Breath of the Wild.
Oh, no, they're expansive. I'm talking about the normal areas.
Yeah.
But like the actual temples are huge.
Oh, okay.
And each temple has a boss. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the coolest power, Ascend.
What does that do?
You know when you're playing Oblivion or Skyrim and you get kind of stuck on a mountain and you're like, "Oh, I hate this. This is yucky poo-poo." Or you're in a cave and you get lost and like, "I can't find my way out. This is bull," right?
Yeah.
You can just go through the ceiling.
You can just go up.
You can just go up and pop out the other side.
You could just go up.
You just go up.
They let you just go up.
You can just go up.
I don't believe you. That's insane.
If you're in like the deepest cavern, right? Except when you're in hell. You can't pop out of hell.
Obviously.
But like, well, I mean, you can, but you have to get a ride. But we'll talk about that later. We're gonna talk about One Piece eventually, maybe, but please stay tuned.
But I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. It makes sense.
Yeah. But like, okay, so you could just like say if you're doing I forgot to tell you too, there are also shrines again, but they're better this time because they use your cool hand powers, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have a platform and the trial requires you to get up to a ledge. What you can do is use your telekinesis, lift the platform up, right? With your telekinesis, and then drop it. Then you can use ZELDA, make the platform go up. Then you can ascend through the platform that's going up while it's time stopped and pop out the other end and then jump off of it to the other ledge.
So it rewards you for mixing powers in unique and interesting ways.
Yes. You can just cheat.
I love games that let you just cheat. That's why Super Metroid's one of my favorite games ever, because it just lets you skip if you don't want to.
Also, I play Metroid Dread. We're eating so hard.
I gotta play Metroid Dread. I haven't played it yet.
I need to play the re-release of Metroid Prime. I 100%ed Metroid Dread. That was my first Metroid 2D Metroid I sat down with. Amazing. I was missing out. It's great. It's absolutely great.
There's a mod out there called Prime Hacks that lets you play Metroid Prime on a computer. Lets you do like mouse and keyboard support for it.
Yeah.
Incredible. Awesome.
I imagine.
Amazing. I hear that the remake of Prime is actually better than Prime Hacks.
Oh, that's good.
Which I can't believe because Prime Hacks was so good.
I know it looks good, but I'm glad that they discovered that Metroid is a good franchise. I mean, you have Doom in your lap right now. I mean, come on, brother. And I'm glad that Smash realized that too, and they added Ridley and Dark Samus because that was ridiculous. But okay, whatever. I'm glad. Ravenbeak for Smash, let's go.
Please.
Because I know this was Zelda, but Metroid is fantastic. Please, Nintendo, don't stop. I love my girl.
So
be going,
where are we at for Zelda?
Okay, you can just pop through things.
Right, we're talking about interesting ways for that.
So, yeah, you can just use Ascend and pop through anything. Like, okay, so you chase these literal rabbits down these holes, right?
Uh-huh.
And then usually what happens is that you find this weird, like, almost Japanese shrine sometimes.
Okay.
Like I don't know what to call it. It looks like, in One Piece, the thing that Odin was being carried out on?
Yeah.
You find those, right?
Okay, yeah. You say Japanese shrine, I have a pretty vivid image in my head.
All right. So you find that, and in this chest is usually a cool piece of armor. Because they come in 3 sets. You got your trousers, you got your chest piece, and you got your helmet.
Yeah.
One of them is a little rubber suit.
For lightning resistance.
Exactly. Also, the rabbit leads you to a 3-eyed frog.
Uh-huh.
That's blue and glowing. You shoot this frog in the head. It dies and turns back into the rabbit, and it leaves behind something called a bubble gem. Because these are bubble frogs that shoot bubbles at you. They don't do anything. They're just obstacles, so you won't shoot them, right?
Yeah.
So you shoot the frog, it drops a gem. Later, if you remember the weird monster guy, this is like there's this weird little Igor guy that gives you monster masks in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
He has a brother. His brother is like the angel to his devil. He's dressed up as a Sarutori, named after Sarutori Iwata, God rest his soul. He was the former president of Nintendo Japan.
Yeah.
There's a mountain named after him in the game.
Very cool.
There's also this giant, weird nightmare horse that's named after him. It's kind of like a weird angelic creature, and they're called Satoris. These Satori horses have little Satori rabbits that turn into bubble frogs, which are also related to the Satori. So the brother of the Igor guy loves Satoris. He dresses up as one. He's pale like one. And you know what he does to the gems?
He purifies them.
No, he eats them.
Oh.
He eats them right in front of you. He gobbles them up like candy. Nom, 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 nom. He eats them.
For what purpose?
Because he wants to become a Satori.
Oh.
He wants to become the weird horse thing.
Okay.
He just eats them. And if you give him certain amounts, because you can only find that at night in his weird hot air balloon, the Igor brother, his brother has gone to Terrytown because the town that you built in Breath of the Wild is now an established location.
Mm-hmm.
So he lives there, okay? But the weird brother, you find him at night, you give him these gems, he gobbles them up, and he gives you prizes, which are the monster masks. So that's how you get the monster mask again.
Yeah.
If you give him enough, he turns you into a Satori. There's a whole Satori outfit, I should say.
Okay, so there's an outfit, so you don't literally become a horse person.
No, you get a outfit that is resembling of a horse person that makes you invincible.
Invincible?
Yes, you don't take hearts for damage, you lose money when you get hit.
Oh, it's money armor. Okay.
Yes, so you're like, there was a armor like this in Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess, yeah.
Yes, it's like that. Or I guess like, so it turns you into Sonic.
Very cool.
Very based. So there's that. There are also these giant towers you go into that you put your iPad on from Fisher-Price, and it maps out the area for you, right?
Yeah.
There's a giant springboard. You know how you map out the area? You jump on the springboard, it shoots you up through the tower.
Oh my god, it's Secret of Mana.
Yes, and you geograph the entire area with your pad.
That's incredible.
And that's how you map out the area. And it also gives you a good springboard into Sky Islands.
Yeah. Well, could you use Ascend to get to the Sky Islands if you wanted to?
No, Ascend has limits.
Oh, okay.
But if you find a shrine in the Sky Islands, you can teleport anywhere there was a shrine.
Yeah.
So shrines are your teleportation locations, and in literal hell, your light routes are your teleport locations.
Yeah.
So you can teleport anywhere there's a light route or a shrine or a temple.
Okay.
And you don't even have to complete the particular shrine. Once you put your foot on there and touch the weird access point with your mummy hand, it becomes a teleport point.
So fast travel.
Yes, fast travel.
Okay.
There are horses. Their horses are back.
Okay.
Horses unlock through various means. If you have Breath of the Wild data, you get Zelda's horse automatically. If you have her already, you can find Ganon's horse again.
Okay. Epona.
No, Phantom.
Oh, okay.
You can get Epona through Amiibo. That's the only bad one. So you need the toy to get Epona, which is a criminal. But okay. I hate that. I hate that so much. I love Epona. But yeah, you can find horses. There's Phantom, which is Ganon's horse, the big black horse. That's actually bigger than most horses, like physically in the world. There's the golden horse. That's gold. That's Zelda's horse for some reason. Also Zelda's horse. There's the white horse. There's a giant Herculean white horse that's the same size as Phantom, the black horse.
Okay.
And there are skeleton horses that are allergic to sunlight and cannot be ridden outside of hell.
Okay.
And
so you can't bring horses to hell. Well, some horses.
No, there are horses in hell you can ride.
Okay. So you have like two sets of horses, I guess.
Exactly. And all enemies can also ride horses.
Ooh.
Just the bokoblins, though, not the Leafos, the chameleon guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's like Twilight Princess, which one of my favorite things about Twilight Princess was the fact that enemies could ride horses.
It's sick.
It's really cool.
Also, the Great Fairies are back.
Okay.
You do a musical quest because a Phantom Zelda has told all the fairies that, hey, don't come outside, the world is a yucky poo-poo, and everyone is dead. And they're like, oh, bet. So they hide in their bulbs, right? So you literally have to get a musical band together in order for them to be serenaded so they pop out.
Literally Majora's Mask. That's awesome.
It's pretty good. And then once they pop out, they upgrade your gear.
Okay.
So they upgrade all your costumes. And it's pretty cool because some costumes, like the fire armor, makes you impervious.
Can they upgrade any gear or only certain kinds of gear?
The majority of the gear.
Okay.
The only gear they can't upgrade is gear that is already good.
So like your invincibility Sonic armor.
Yes, your invincibility Sonic armor and your impervious helmets.
Yeah.
So Zad's helm, the lightning helm, can't be upgraded. But when you find the Hero of Twilight's clothes, you can upgrade that.
Okay.
You can find Midna's helmet.
Ooh.
I don't know if you can upgrade that. I just got it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
You can upgrade... Oh, you can become the Grim Reaper.
Just the Grim Reaper in general.
Yes, because in hell, there are lost souls called Poes you can collect. If you remember earlier in the story, there was a creepy statue head in your castle town, right?
Okay.
You bring these lost souls to the creepy head, and he's like, oh yes, young boy. Poes. Very good. If you bring me more Poes, I'll tell you the location of my brethren. And you're like, all right. the Poe statue becomes a separate shop. Guess you can buy from the shop, Zakk?
What could you buy from the shop from Poe's? Potions? More armor?
Dark Link clothes, baby!
Yeah.
Yes, sir! Dark Link, baby!
Can you also get Rivali stuff from there?
Rivali.
He's from Link Between Worlds. He's the shopkeep, the rabbit-eared guy.
He's in the game. I have not gotten his helmet. I've seen his helmet. I've not gotten it. He's there, though. He's there. He's also like other Link, if I recall. He's inverse Link.
Okay.
Or something. That's what the theory people tell me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so each Poe statue you find, they increase in power because they're all a hive mind.
Okay.
So the majority of the Poe statues are where there's one near the Great Plateau from Breath of the Wild, I believe, or no, I forgot what it's called. The place where you find your first goddess statue.
From Breath of the Wild. God, it's been so long since I've played that game.
I cannot recall, but you have to drain the lake, right?
Yeah.
You find the Poe head in the lake.
Oh.
It's like, go to the goddess statue, please. And you're like, okay. So you go there, and then the goddess statue's like, if I recall this correctly, she has something to do with this particular Poe, so you get that unlock. And then the rest of the Poes are in hell. So there's one, because, okay, now hell is like, the underground is the inverse of the upper ground. It's the inverse of the map. So anytime you find a mountain in the overworld, it's a valley in the underground. Anytime there's a valley in the overworld, there's a mountain in the underground.
That's kind of sick, yeah.
It's sick. So there's a spring of courage, right? There's a spring of courage in the underground. You can find a Poe statue there. And then when you find it, it's like, oh yes, bring me Poes. Like, wait, you've met one of me already. Hold on a second. Hey, bros, you online? Great. Okay, so Link, you can get more stuff now. And you're like, okay, based.
Very cool, yeah.
And then you keep doing this, and then you find this big sanctuary in the underground, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this giant Poe statue. And he's like, young boy, I cannot see. Find me eyes, boy.
Bring me the eyes.
Here's a mission marker. All the eyes are in the overworld. So you find these eyes, right?
So regular eyes don't work. You have to find his specific eyes. You gotta bring him like his eyes or whatever.
No, they're big stone eyes.
Okay.
They're in the overworld. You find these eyes, you drop them down a pit into hell.
Yeah.
And then you have to carry them back to the statue. It's a wild time because you have to drop them down. They go plummeting down. You have to follow them down, and then you bring them back to the big statue. It's like, oh, thank you, young man. Landing zone activated. And then he powers up.
Yeah.
And then you go to the tallest mountain in the underground, and then you see a little face sticking out. He's like, hey, I'm a Poe too. Oh, I'm the last one. Landing zone activated. You found us all. Now we're a big network. Buy whatever you want. If
what?
If a special item from one of the Zelda games that you find in the underground, if it breaks, you can
just buy a new one.
You can buy it from them for Poes.
Awesome.
Except for one, which brings us to our next chapter, the giant dragons.
Yeah.
So each giant dragon can give you some items. You can get their tooth. You can get their scales, their horns, or their claws. If you shoot their particular body part, this will fly off of them, right? So there is a goddess statue in the jungle. There's a goddess statue in the I forgot the location. There are 3 of them. I think in the wellspring of courage, strength, and wisdom.
Yeah. And courage, power, wisdom are the Triforce ones.
Yes, courage, power, and wisdom. So they all task you with getting a claw from a particular dragon. After you get all the claws, there's a big goddess statue at another location. And she's like, hey, brother, you're pretty cool. Have the Skyward Sword, the sword from Skyward Sword. She gives it to you.
Like Fi?
Like Fi.
You just get you just get that.
Yes, the Skyward Sword. And unfortunately...
Is it the Skyward Sword, the Master Sword?
Not here. It's a totally different thing.
Okay.
It is unfortunately, it's a powerful sword, but it is something to display in a house, which you can also build. You can build your own house in this game. It belongs on the display case because if it breaks, you cannot buy it from a Poe, the Poe King. You can't buy it from him. If it breaks, you have to do that mission again. So you have to find the dragon claws, give them to the Spring Lakes, and then talk talk to the Big Mama Goddess statue and get the sword again.
Yeah.
So you don't want to use that sword. You just want to keep it on your display shelf to show your friends.
Okay.
Which is lame. But it is.
That is cool because I want to use that. I want to fight with that, man.
Yeah. Also, you get stands.
From the weird ghost hand, right?
No, that's part of it. See, when you talk to a cool guy who is a descendant of a sage who existed during the time of King Rauru, the big furry.
Yeah.
Whose hand you have.
Yeah.
So when you talk to a descendant, you do a mission, you fight a boss in these areas. This is like the main mission of the game. They're called Area Phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to the Garuda town, you go to the bird town, you go to the fish people town, and you go to Roly Poly Goron town. You do their individual missions. Then they give you the will of themselves.
Okay.
Which turns into an astral projection that becomes a ring on your cursed hand.
So you just get their essence and you can summon them whenever.
Yes.
I guess that's kind of like how it worked in Breath of the Wild because you have like the spirits of your old friends that give you crazy powers.
Exactly. It's very similar.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Now, here's a spoiler. There's a fifth one. So you have to find this hidden location. You have to get this mask, which leads to a location that opens up a secret pathway. In this pathway, you can then say, screw this mission, it's time to cheat. In this pathway, there is a point in which there's a loading screen that you can see. If you have a bow that shoots multiple arrows, you can shoot off into the distance inside of this cavern where the loading screen happens, and that's how you clone your items. Because you clone the item from the multiple arrow, you attach it to your arrow, it shoots multiple of that item when you shoot it, because there are bows that shoot multiple arrows, even though they only take one. There are 3-shot bows and 5-shot bows.
Just like in Breath of the Wild, yeah.
Exactly. You get them from Lionel's. And if you shoot off into the distance past the loading screen, it will duplicate the item. The item will freeze in the air and then drop. You can then collect it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do this with anything that you can attach to a bow or attach to an arrow. And then you can clone things like diamonds. There are diamonds in this game. You can clone bombs. You can clone meat. You can clone flowers. The only thing you cannot clone are the tiny creatures you find. So bugs and lizards and butterflies.
Yeah.
Which are bugs, but whatever.
So you could clone the crafting materials for crafting.
Yes.
That's pretty sick.
Then you take the mask down into hell, okay?
Okay.
You find this, you remember Metabots?
A little bit. I never got into Metabots, but I know what they are.
Like, when you got the toys, they would, like, be in, like, this, like, plastic. You had to pop their bodies out.
Yeah.
Gundams are like this, too. You find this in the underground. You find this robot.
You just find big robots.
You find this robot that's, like, 4 feet above you, right? It's like, it's a big robot. It's not, like, huge, but it's big.
Yeah.
You put this owl mask inside of this robot. The owl mask lights up and says, I am the sister of Prince Rauru, of King Rauru. I am, what?
Go on.
I sealed myself inside of this robot so I could help you in the future. Link, swordsman that protects Zelda. Find my body parts in the 4 shrines around the 4 temples around this area, and then I will help you.
That is insane.
So you do that. The temples are pretty cool. The robot wakes up. You can then attach anything that you can attach to a weapon to the robot's hands and back.
Okay.
So the robot can use Lionel horns, which are katanas growing out of their heads.
Okay.
You can use anything. You can use the Zonai devices, the furry technology. So you can put a fan. You can put a fan on the back of your robot buddy to make her go faster while riding on top of her.
Pretty cool.
Then,
yes.
Then you find her secret stone, because all the sages have secret stones. That's how you get their rings.
Yeah,
they look like little toma, I think they're called. They're like these little Japanese swirl thingies. You see them in a lot of anime.
Okay.
So
Uzumaki.
Yes. So you go to her temple. You have a actual Punch-Out style fight with a robot she created in the past.
You get to have a Rock'em Sock'em Robots fight?
Yes.
What?
They put the video game known as ARMS in this game because the evil robot literally turns into the boss of that game, which was Headlock, which was a multi-armed guy that punched. It turns into that. You have to fight that.
Very cool.
Then you get to summon your robot buddy forever after you get her sacred stone. And then it turns into one of your rings on your fan.
Yeah.
And then you can just summon her whenever. The actual robot.
Can you summon her or just the robot?
Just the robot, which is her.
So you can just bring the robot wherever you want, basically.
Yes.
That's pretty sick.
It's amazing. And you can also attach a rocket to the robot's back and ride it.
Oh, like you can get vertical lift and everything?
Yeah, because anything that can be attached to a rocket gets vertical lift.
That's that's insane.
It's amazing.
That's absolutely crazy.
Also, she has a spirit shield.
Yeah, that's about right.
So she could just spawn a shield by guarding.
Yeah.
There are cannons in this game. You can attach a cannon to her arm like Mega Man.
PW, this game sounds way too cool. There's no way that it's real.
And it's running on a Nintendo Switch.
There's no way.
You can also use masks that you got from the creepy guy and invade enemy camps, because now there are things called bokoblin bosses, which are like these. They're not Henoxes. They're not the big guys. They're a middle range guy. So they're these big fat guys that walk around with their little babies like a little troop. So you can join their troop, because if
you can sneak in under the sky.
Yes, and sometimes they're just lounging in strongholds, and it's so funny because the bokoblin boss will be lounging like a Japanese middle-aged father.
Awesome. I have a distinct image in my mind when you say that.
And he's just itching his bum. It's great.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Let's see, what else is there? Oh, you can freeze the water to make platforms. If you attach like an ice attachment to your arrow.
Kind of like Breath of the Wild, I guess?
Yeah, but then you can use Ascend after you've grabbed it with the telekinesis, the Ultra Hand ability.
Yeah.
And then go through that platform if you want to get higher. Huh. It's amazing.
So kind of like Breath of the Wild, but with a couple more steps, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, you can make your own house to store your items, and you can build your house. It's like Minecraft almost.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you have to, let's see, what else was there? It's a big cool. Oh, there are races in this game.
Ooh.
You can actually build a car and race.
Legend of Zelda nuts and bolts. Let's go.
Exactly. There are also diving trials you can do to get something called the wingsuit, which when fully upgraded, you can fall from a sky island like Kaido and land.
You can just fly.
Oh, it's better than that. You can drop dead first from a sky island onto the ground and not take any impact damage with this wingsuit.
But can you fly around?
Yeah, you can control your fall.
Say, no fall damage is one thing. Literally flying is the coolest thing in video games. It's so cool and good and awesome and just based in every conceivable way. And
then there are many machines you can build to also fly.
Yeah.
Because like with the wingsuit, it's more of like a control fall. You can like glide on the air.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can build devices that you can actually just fly around. There are also enemy Jenga robots. Like robots made out of blocks.
I was about to say, like enemies made out of blocks that you can just like kick one block and have them fall down.
Kinda. You have to attack one heart block, and then they turn.
Once you knock it down, then all the blocks just come crumbling down.
Basically, and then he gets mad.
That's kind of cool.
Then he gets mad and he rebuilds himself, and then they cheat because they'll turn into platforms.
Oh, and it becomes a platforming boss. That's so cool.
But then they'll be so high up that you actually have to use a Zonai device to get to them because you can't ascend through them.
Oh, okay.
There are also enemies called Taluses. They're just these big living rock guys, and you have to attack the ore deposit on their back in order to kill them, right? So there are stone Taluses, and then there are battle Taluses. Battle Taluses have a whole camp on top of them.
Yeah.
And bokoblins are hanging out on top of that camp.
Okay.
So you have to fight the bokoblins and the stone Talus. But what you can do is that once the stone Talus is kind of distracted, like when he's in his resting animation, you can ascend through the stone Talus.
Oh my god!
Any stone,
so you just skip the entire puzzle.
Yes, you can go through this enemy like a ghost.
That's awesome.
Pop out of his head and
stab him in the back.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And this works on any Talus.
This game is insane.
I will say though, there are elemental Talus. There are ice and fire Talus.
So you have to be prepared before you phase through them and attack them in the back.
Right, you have to either extinguish them or melt them.
This game doesn't sound real. This game sounds way too crazy. This game sounds like a person saying, "Wouldn't it be cool if?" and then just posting a bunch of different things that would be cool in a video game.
That's basically what it is.
This doesn't sound real.
It's amazing. And what's great is that they added a new enemy type called a Hoblin.
Like somewhere between bokoblins and...
Oh, no, they're worse. They're monkeys.
Oh.
They only live in caves. They live on the ceiling and attack you with staffs.
Yikes.
They stab you from the ceiling.
Yeah, that sucks.
And you have to shoot them down. And then when you shoot them down, they grab their bums and they hop around like, why'd you do that? And you just keep poking them.
Huh.
And and all enemies go in different ranges of level. So the highest level for the majority of enemies is silver or white. The name changes. So you have silver, you have white, blue frogs, you have silver hoblin, you have silver bokoblin, you have silver moblin, you have silver bokoblin boss, you have silver lionels, and silver leafosses.
Yeah.
Leafosses, once you beat them to death, they have scythes growing out of their head. So anything you attach to it becomes a scythe, a big Grim Reaper scythe. Once you unlock all the Poe statues, you can then unlock the Poe armor, the Poe robes.
Yeah.
And you can become a Dark Priest. As a Dark Priest, you have a resistance to gloom.
Oh, so you could just go underground and fight forever, basically.
Yes, because it gives you gloom hearts, and those gloom hearts take the damage.
That's crazy.
On the topic of gloom, okay, so you're walking through the forest, right? You're going on your way. Boss music starts, but the area is clear. The area is clear. A giant puddle appears out of nowhere. Without notice. It is goopy. It is red and black.
Yeah.
Hands with eyes spawn out of the goop.
Yeah.
Get ready. You have to shoot every hand in order to kill it. If you do not, it will chase you down over peaks and valleys, grab you, and suck the life out of you in the overworld. It will turn the sky red.
Oh, Jesus.
There is no recovering. You have to fight. You run or you fight, and you cannot run.
It's literally fight or flight, and there's no flight. That's crazy.
The only time you can get away is if the peak is high enough, and the majority of the time, it's not. They will if you try to climb up a ledge, they'll yank you off the ledge. They'll just yank you.
So it's just a random boss that spawns if you go to a certain spot, or?
No, anywhere. At any time. Except in the Sky Islands.
So every once in a while, you'll just have to find a way to retreat back to the Sky Island.
Yeah. Or
because it gets too ridiculous.
Exactly. Now, here's the fun part. Imagine fighting that in pitch black, in the darkness. They'll attack you in hell, a place that is full of goop. So you don't know when it's going to come. It can come at any time, because it's perfectly camouflaged. The whole place is covered in stuff.
Yeah.
So it can just pop out and just ruin your day. Oh, do you think that's over? You think it's over after you beat it? Do you think that's done? Do you think it's over? No. If you successfully beat it, and it was a little bit too easy, it transforms.
Okay.
Guess what it becomes?
Ganon.
Phantom Ganon, baby. Get ready.
God!
Phantom Ganon, the stand of Ganon comes out.
Oh, no.
And he can come equipped with one of two weapons. The Gloom Saber or the Gloom Spear. He can fly. And you know that cute little trick you did by going on a platform to get away from the Gloom hands?
That no longer works.
He will Houdini up behind you.
Yeah, because it's Phantom Ganon.
He's like, oh, you tried to run away. Psych! And you have to fight him.
Yeah, that is scary, man.
And you have to headshot him. And then he can just whisk you away with a slash. Yeah. And if you're getting too full of yourself, he says, oh, you like bow and arrows, right? I have a bow too.
Oh, no. Wait, Phantom Ganon has a bow and arrow.
Yes. And
is this the same as Calamity Ganon, or is it like Phantom Ganon from Ocarina, where it's like the paintings guy?
From Ocarina of Time, but he's worse.
Okay.
Because he will come on your level and call you out.
Yeah.
And he does gloom damage, just like the hands. Oh. And he makes the sky red, just like the hands. There's no escape.
Oh.
If you beat him...
So he makes the sky red as in Blood Moon?
Like a Blood Moon. He activates a Blood Moon. Just for him.
Yeah.
So you can't recover.
Funny.
And then if you beat him, you actually get his cursed Gloom Saber.
Wait, you can beat him?
You can beat him.
Interesting.
Because you can parry him, you can shoot him in the head.
Yeah. So you have to learn his... I guess you just have to learn his patterns and stuff and just be geared up enough.
Yeah. It's hard, though, because I go for headshots because I can't dodge very well. I'm bad at dodging. So, like, bop, 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 bop. And you can get his gloom. You can get his Gloom Saber and his bow and arrow, his bow at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's actually called the Gloom Saber and the Bow of the Demon King.
Kind of sick.
And then you
can literally get cursed weapons.
Yes. And fun thing, not the bow Not the bow. The bow doesn't do this. The spear or the saber you cannot use continuously because if you use it continuously, it has the same effect as gloom and it affects you. It's very strong, but it will take your hearts away.
So you using the weapon, what's the benefit for that?
They're strong.
They're just real strong. Okay.
They're real strong, and they get strong when you fuse them with stuff.
Okay.
The fun thing about those Talus enemies I mentioned, you can bust them open after you kill them, and you can take their hearts. Their hearts are these big stone slabs shaped like hearts. We usually with like ore sticking out of them, and you can use those to attach to your weapons.
Oh, okay.
Same thing with those giant Jenga block guys. They'll drop this weird cylinder that's spiked with an eye on it.
They'll give you construction materials, crafting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for weapons. For weapons only.
And can you attach them to the cursed weapons, or
yes.
Can you not craft those?
Yes, you can.
Oh. Cool.
What's also cool too.
Can you recraft the cursed weapons, or do you have to go through that crazy boss fight every time that you want a new one?
Yes.
So you can. Ooh.
No. You can't.
Oh, you have to kill him every time. Okay.
Yeah, and it depends because sometimes if you just kill the hands, they'll just give you something called I think it's called dark clumps.
Okay. Which
dark clumps can be cooked with, so you can be more resistant to gloom.
I still think it's lame that if you have literally Ganon's weapons, that stuff should work like the Master Sword. That stuff should be like the ultimate reward for the ultimate challenge, right?
True. That is a bad thing about it.
I guess it's fine. It keeps you wanting to do that over and over because once you beat him, you already know how to beat him, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's just the surprise gets you every time.
Yeah.
And the times that he shows up are inconvenient. Because there's one cave. You can become the fierce deity, by the way.
Very cool.
You can get the whole.
Can he only show up in the underground, or can he show up anywhere?
Anywhere but the sky. Okay. Anywhere at any time. So you could be walking through the forest. He's just chilling in the trees, and he looks at you, and it started already.
Yeah, you didn't realize, but he already has your number, and he is going to kill you.
Yes. In the desert. You know what's so funny? I was in the desert looking for the Moldugas. I come to this dead end, and you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you're like, oh. It wouldn't happen here, would it? This is the desert. He appears behind me.
Oh, no!
I'm like, I felt it. Oh, my God.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Yes. Also, there are weather elements you have to deal with. You have to dress accordingly, so you can freeze to death. You can suffer a heat stroke. So you have to have heat-sensitive clothing or eat heat-resistant food. Yeah. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Oh, you can get Majora's Mask.
Well, you said you get Fierce Deity, I assumed, yeah.
Yeah, Majora's Mask. You get Tingle's outfit.
Very cool.
Which is the more important thing. Oh, you can build a town.
Yeah, you already said that. Well, you said you could build a camp. Can you build a town after that?
A whole town.
Oh.
You see, in Breath of the Wild, there was this cool little fishing village that you can just stumble upon. That village has been attacked recently by pirates, baby. Bokoblin pirates. And much like our Devil Fruit users, they cannot swim, which is very funny.
Okay.
So a funny thing, you can just drown them.
Yeah.
And then you beat all the pirates, and then you have to go through the painstaking process of rebuilding the town completely.
Yeah. Do you have to get them resources and materials and crafting stuff?
Yes, like logs and such.
Yeah.
And then once you build the town, you can sleep there for free.
Cool.
And they regard you as the hero.
They should. I rebuilt their town.
And then you get a funny little shirt that you find with a lobster on it. And it's pretty good. Okay. Well, if I haven't convinced you all to buy Breath of the Wild, that should do it. So yeah, man, now that we got that preamble out the way with the Zelda and stuff. So what about that One Piece?
One Piece? PW, it's been an hour and a half.
Oh no. Well, folks, that's the show. Catch you when we see you. See you when we catch you. Subscribe.
Thank you all for watching the Road Skull podcast.
Road Skull? Oh, man, I messed up the name. Road Skull podcast, baby. Subscribe to Reddit Suffer Off. Subscribe to Polypede Works.
Subscribe for more incredible One Piece content.
Sometimes. when we feel like it.
Oh man.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, everyone.